All right, JJ Watt announces this is it for him. He's going to be done. JJ Watt going to go do who knows what. We'll discuss that in a second. It is the Locker Room here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Spread the word. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 in the loop. Been on a little bit of a vacation, but still been posting videos, etc. And this big news came out today. JJ Watt retiring. I don't even think it's debatable. I know some people might try to say Andre Johnson, but JJ Watt's the best player in franchise history. 3-time defensive player of the year, 5-time first team All Pro, 2-time second time team All Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, led the league in sacks twice, tied for the lead in forced fumbles one time. I don't think it's debatable. As a matter of fact, I think JJ Watt, I think MVP should be on that resume as well. JJ Watt, for a period of time, for a couple of years, was the best player in the NFL, in my opinion. I think if you asked a lot of his peers, they would probably say the same thing. I know we talk a lot about Aaron Donald. JJ Watt was dominating games at that level. And unfortunately for JJ, and this is the unfortunate side of things, the resume is still such to where I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but had the body not given out on him, who knows what we'd be saying about JJ Watt. We could be talking about, him being in the discussion as one of the 5-10 best defensive players of all time. I don't think it's too far-fetched if he had continued to play at that level. But unfortunately, when you play like JJ Watt did and your body takes the beating, eventually it kind of gives out on you. And that's kind of what happened to JJ Watt. The best moments of JJ's career, obviously, I would say you got to talk about the touchdown in the playoffs. I think that's got to be up there. A lot of people probably enjoyed watching him line up at tight end, although not necessarily the Watt cat. That's got to be up there. Really just – it's hard to choose because every game was pretty much the same for JJ for those few years. You knew what you were going to get. You were going to get batted passes. You were going to get finger wags. You were going to get sacks. You're going to get TFLs. What's your favorite JJ Watt moment? You can put it in the comments. We'll read that at the end. But I think it's hard to say. I think probably the touchdown in the playoffs would be what most people would say. But I think you can pick and choose. Even on the back end of his career in Houston, he had some pretty legendary moments. The 2019 postseason where basically his pec was ripped off and he came back to play against Buffalo and he played against Kansas City. Nobody thought that was even a possibility. He came back. He did that a couple of times where you just thought JJ was done. And then JJ all of a sudden, you see him warming up before the game, the speculation comes out and you start to wonder, okay, is JJ actually going to come back? Is JJ going to play? He did that on the back end. And then in 2018, when he came back, that was another good year for him. First team, All Pro and Pro Bowl as well. So he kind of showed that he still had a little bit left on the in the tank. I'll go to the comments and then we'll continue the JJ Watt discussion. Michael says, God bless JJ. You will always be loved in Houston. I would agree on that. Front runner, what's good? Everything, man. Been a lot of driving, but everything's good. Everything's great. Han said, finally caught you live for once. Very nice. Going to be more of a consistent schedule after the season. The goal this season, I say this a lot, was to do this as much as possible. Improve the subscribers. And then, I think that's the most important thing. A lot of people start YouTube channels and it's every other day or it's the next day or it's this, it's that. That's not what I wanted to do. So I decided to do it every day. That was the first step, people I talked to. So that's what I try. Big Landry to you. Okay. JJ was where Ray Childress squared. All right. Han going old school. Texans should have run a ring with JJ. I don't know why he chose the Cardinals to finish out his career. We'll get into that in a second. There is kind of an unfortunate tale that needs to be told with JJ, but I definitely agree with you on that. Han also says the JJ catching touchdowns was elite. Yeah, it was elite. It was kind of legendary. Fumble recovery for 75 yards to the house. That was legit too. And then Chris says best JJ moment was him saving me after Hurricane Harvey in a lifeboat. Yes. We'll definitely get into all of that. Another interesting aspect of JJ that I think was cool to see. If you were in Houston, you kind of experienced it as well, and you got like a close peek. If you talk to people outside of Houston, and even some in Houston, and I somewhat subscribe to it. At the beginning of JJ's time in the NFL, there was a certain element of cheese. A lot of people thought he was a little bit cheesy, some manufactured type of stuff. You saw a lot of selfies. It almost seemed like he was kind of like finding his way, but as time went on, it seemed like JJ kind of found himself, which really makes sense because when these athletes come into the NFL and the NBA, a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people expect these guys to just be like finished products. And to a certain point, you do have to mature, or you can mature a little quicker than the average person. I don't even want you to see what I was like from like 21 to 25, right? Maybe 21 to 30. Who knows? However long you want to put it. But these guys come into these $1 million contracts. They have as much clout as you can imagine. There's women throwing themselves at them. They're trying to find their brand, and oftentimes, sometimes they just get lost in the sauce, and you never really see them transform, which is fine. I'm not saying there's like a right way for it, but you don't often see, like, at least publicly, someone kind of just transform as a person. And JJ Watt was never bad. Like, JJ Watt was never, he was always a model citizen. He was always very active in the community, but there was like kind of a sense of, man, why is this guy posting a selfie, a rise and grind selfie? Why is this guy on Hard Knocks singing Fort Minor while he's product placing his Gatorade and flipping tires at 3 a.m. as fans supposedly wait for him to sign autographs? Like, what are we doing here? I think the Pardon My Take guys had a lot of fun with the JJ thing. I think there was like the Hey JJ thing. But you saw JJ in Houston. He just kind of began to kind of find himself, which is normal. But on that pedestal, you don't often see it. And you saw JJ find himself. You saw JJ find love. You saw JJ go through adversity. You saw the way JJ dealt with adversity. You saw some of the stuff that he did off the field, the off-field contributions, the Hurricane Harvey, over $30 million raised, throwing the ball with the kids, all that type of stuff. You really got to see, like, JJ from year 2 to year 5 or 6 or whatever it was, he was one of the best players in the league. So you saw that development. That was kind of just gradual. But as far as like being a person, being like a model citizen, being a member of the community, that was what I enjoyed the most about JJ Watt. And again, I know some people might say, there's a certain way you're supposed to act. I don't care. Like, the athletes come from different backgrounds. So different athletes act different ways. Different athletes brand themselves different ways. Different athletes shine different ways. I appreciate all of it. I appreciate every bit of it. But it was pretty cool just to see JJ Watt and how he grew and really modeled himself into a brand. And I wonder, like, my biggest question about JJ Watt when he retires, and we can talk about, the end of the on-field stuff and all that. What the hell is this guy going to do? Because I've asked him this a couple of times, like the couple of times that I talked to JJ, and I got to interview JJ a couple of times. I know he listens to 610 every once in a while. But what is he going to do? Because sometimes when athletes retire, when coaches retire, when front office guys retire, you're like, what the hell are you going to do? Sometimes the answer is nothing. Sometimes they find a way to just stay in football. But with JJ, there's so many possibilities. Does he become an actor? Does he, I don't know, run for office? Does he stay in football? I don't think he wants to coach. Does he become a front office guy? Does he try to own a team? Like the JJ Watt brand, there's just so many possibilities with JJ Watt that I don't know what the hell he's going to do. And normally when you ask that, it's like, dude, what the hell are you going to do? Like when, I don't know, let's name someone like Bill O'Brien or something. Like when he retired, what are you going to do? All you care about is football. JJ just had so many different things and he had so much of a brand. I'm actually really excited to see what JJ's life after football is going to be like, because could he be a commentator? I mean, JJ Watt, I think, could be a freaking good commentator. I mean, assuming that he goes into it and takes it serious, JJ Watt could easily be an analyst. Is that something he wants to do? Is it too serious? Is it too blowhard for him? Is it not enough like creativity? Is it not enough of his brand? I don't know. But normally when you ask, what are they going to do? You're saying it like, man, all you know is football. With JJ, who the hell knows what he's going to do? But he has built out a nice brand, and he's always going to be a Houston icon for everything he did and all of his off-field contributions. As far as the on-field stuff, and JJ was very open about, wanting to get that championship and wanting to get that ring. And he talked a lot openly about wasted years. The last time that he was in a Texans uniform, he was walking off the field with Deshaun Watson, and he said, we wasted one of your years. We should have had this record. And that was kind of the way that JJ seemed to talk about things. You saw the way he walked off the field in his final home game against Arizona with the Arizona Cardinals. He was kind of crying. The organization really did kind of a disservice to JJ Watt. You had the years where he was basically carrying the team, where the defense was kind of carrying the offense. Then when you finally found the quarterback and you had a team that was kind of knocking on the door of competition, you entrusted Jack Easterby and Bill O'Brien to run things, and they ruined it. And JJ didn't have much love for Jack Easterby. I can say that on pretty good authority. He immediately knew what a fraud Jack Easterby was. And at the end, he kind of got tired of the Bill O'Brien shtick as well. You remember when Bill O'Brien got fired and he took a picture of the sunlight and said it's a little more sunny out here. And there were the reports of him kind of getting into it with OB. Jack Easterby and Bill O'Brien, had they never been a thing, I mean, maybe it's possible that another general manager keeps stuff going, and the core of guys that you had that you felt were kind of just like so close and just needed some good decisions, the Watson, the Hopkins, that core, maybe in a perfect world, if you hadn't had the biggest idiot fraud in the world in Jack Easterby and Bill O'Brien, who I won't call those things, but I mean, one of the worst GMs and one of the worst front office guys in NFL history, pretty overrated coach too, despite, media types carrying his water and putting out misleading stuff about the division titles. But I digress. Who knows how it would have gone? But it's a damn shame that he didn't get to end his career here. I do anticipate there being a J.J. Watt signs a one-day contract. J.J. Watt retires as a Houston Texan. His jersey is going to get retired. I would give him a damn statue. I would give him and Andre a statue. I think it would be a cool thing for the Texans to do. I think there's plenty of room out there. Why not put an Andre Johnson or J.J. Watt statue out front? I think that'll happen, but the jersey will get retired probably soon. I anticipate probably next year. We're going to see that at a home game. And I'm just going to be intrigued to see what the hell J.J. Watt's going to do. It is a damn shame, though. And this is kind of the same thing with Andre Johnson. I know sometimes teams have, and I don't know how fans feel about this. I've talked to a lot of fans about it, and some of them feel like different ways about this type of thing. But you have, a player that does a lot for you for a certain amount of years, uh, just can't quite get over the hump, and then he goes somewhere else and he wins a Super Bowl. Reggie White from Philadelphia to Green Bay, Neil Smith from Kansas City to Denver, DeMarcus Ware from Dallas to Denver. Like, you see that at times, and sometimes fans feel different types of ways about it. But, part of me was hoping that Arizona would go out there and, at least be able to compete at that level. I know they started out pretty good a couple of seasons ago, but things just kind of unraveled. But it kind of sucks that JJ leaves Houston and he goes to another not as tumultuous, but a pretty tumultuous spot in Arizona, and that's the way that the whole thing ends. I thought it was an interesting decision when he signed with Arizona. I thought for sure he was going to Green Bay or Pittsburgh, but he went to Arizona. I'm sure it's a good city to live in and stuff, but part of me wishes, if the Green Bay Packers last year had, JJ Watt when they had the best record in the league and they ended up losing, or the year before, like if JJ had been in Green Bay at home for the last couple of years, or maybe he went to Pittsburgh, maybe he would have been able to get that ring. And me personally, I don't want to speak for you, and I don't want to tell you how to fan. I would have been happy for JJ going and getting that ring. It was just a damn shame that he went to Arizona, and really it's kind of more of the same. They got into the playoffs a couple of years ago, just much like the Texans. Ceiling not really high. Maybe you win a game, maybe you don't, and then the season ends. And it looks like his career is going to end. I don't see JJ as one of those guys going to change his mind because of all the other stuff he has going on. I know we see Gronk right now. They're talking about him potentially coming back next year. Never say never. Don't expect him to be in training camp. Maybe it's a situation where there's a team that's competing, and at the end of the year where JJ can only play a few games and maybe he can come in spot duty, he comes back and plays. That would be the situation. But someone like JJ, who wants a family, who seems really happy to be a father, who has all this stuff going on outside, I just don't really anticipate, me personally, JJ coming back. But I'm intrigued to see what he does. I'm grateful for everything he did for the city of Houston and for the franchise. And I anticipate them going above and beyond to honor the best player in franchise history. Chris says best JJ moment was him saving me on Harvey on a lifeboat. We read that. Vera, it would be nice to try to get JJ involved in the organization, kind of like Andre. Yeah, I don't know if he wants to do that. But yeah, I think he'll be around. I don't know where they're going to retire. I could see them ending up here in Houston, but that'll be interesting. But yeah, it would be nice. JJ Watt is the ultimate bring home to your mama kind of guy. Yeah, he definitely is. And let's not forget, when he got drafted, people booed. People wanted homeboy from Auburn, Fairley, right? Yeah. Nick Fairley. I think that was his name. Cam Newton guy. Yeah, Nick Fairley. And I thought he was going to be better. Was it Nick Fairley? What was the dude's name for Auburn? Yeah, Nick Fairley from Auburn. See, don't even remember his name, but he was supposed to be the guy. But JJ always remembered that. He bring that up every once in a while. Pick against Cincinnati will always be number one. This is Manny. I'll always be grateful that I got to see him get to Drew Brees a few times back in 2015. Yes, he did. $300+ million for Hurricane Harvey. Was it 300? I don't know. JJ and Kush were our defense. That was a mean ass squad, man. I miss having those kind of alphas on the team. Ew, B.O.B. My bad for bringing that up. JJ goes to Hollywood, new Terminator. And he'd be a better actor than Schwarzenegger. He's a crappy actor, by the way. We've had this argument before. I don't think he stays in football, honestly. He seems like he'll just pick up some sponsorships and sell something with his brand. Brown Chubby Bear, King of Texans Reddit, says, yeah, I could see that. Eric says best Texan. Michael, if Texans ever win a Super Bowl, they need to give JJ a ring. Man, we're just giving him everything. Han says the statue is a good idea. The team is over 20 years old now, and there needs to be lore, tangible, real world attributes. Not too many for the young fans. I agree with you, and I think that's part of the my theory with JJ has been, or with the Texans, is they didn't come back the Oilers, and you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. I said that to Jack Easterby once, and he kind of tried to run with it like it was like an obstacle for him. And I was like, dude, it's a 20-year organization. That has nothing to do with you and all your BS that you've done. But the point I'm making is the Browns came back the Browns, right? So when the Browns came back, Grandpa, who watched Jim Brown score touchdowns, could go to a Browns game and tell those types of stories. And they would make sense because it would be in the same uniform. There would be a Jim Brown presence of some sort there. It was still there. And, Uncle Joe could talk about Bernie Kosar. Here, if a kid goes and he's hearing about Warren Moon or Dan Pastorini and, Billy White Shoes, Earl, cool, but where are the Oilers at? There's no Oilers presence. So I'm with you. The more and it's got to be like deserved. I don't want to like force retiring jerseys. Like some people say like Jonathan Joseph. So Jonathan Joseph, should his jersey be retired? I would say no. And I like JJ. I think he's one of the best to do it. I just think, when you get a legend like JJ and Andre, you don't lower the bar, but you do need to, whenever you have those opportunities, you need to go all in to kind of magnify them because of that, obstacle that you have in front of you, in that you don't have really like, maybe you have 2 generations of fans now. Maybe. I mean, like if you're 2002 and you have a kid, like they're 20 right now, like, so maybe, but even then you're kind of overlapping. And he kind of knows everything you have. So I like he's aware of everything. There's no myths, you don't have the myths. But if you put, Andre statue, JJ statue, and you just kind of roll with that, I think people can latch on to that. I just hope he retires a Texan. I wish he got his ring. If we're ever close to it, maybe he can sign him. We're going on a run. Sign him, keep him on the bench and jeez. You want to be like 50 with a beer belly on the bench? BCB. Han says, if Jets launch Zach Wilson, would you take a swing? That's interesting. If they're just getting rid of, like if the Jets are just getting rid of Zach Wilson, I don't know. Is he better than Davis Mills? That would be the question I would ask you. And we'll probably have that. That's an off-season topic for sure. And y'all know how content is in the offseason. We're going to have all kinds of draft stuff. But there's going to be a time where the Jets are shipping Zach Wilson. When we have that discussion and we talk about it, I've got it. I think the first question that needs to be asked is, do you think he's better than Davis Mills? Because if you're gonna take a rookie quarterback, and we'll get into this disaster that they're trying to put together of avoiding the number 1 pick. Go back and check out the other videos. I got thoughts on that. But as far as the Zach Wilson question, my question for you would be, do you think he's better than Davis Mills? Because I would say no, not right now. And I also think there's like a mental element. So my answer would probably be no, but I think it's a really good question that you ask, and it's something that we'll definitely talk about. JJ for GM, just a thought. See, we throw out, I'm not, you're not the only one who says this. Like people say it about Andre too. I think we just throw out the possibility of former players being GMs as if it's like an easy job to do. And I don't think Andre can be a general manager at this moment. And I don't know that he wants to be a GM. I think he could be like someone over football, like a football operations type of advisor. But JJ, as far as JJ being a GM, I don't know like what would warrant JJ, Watt being a general manager. And I don't think he would want to do that. He's got too much stuff going on. That's hard, man. It's a really hard job. Like some of these guys are scouts for 20 years. It's a tough gig. I'm surprised how many fans don't understand the cost of winning the next 2 games. This entire season would have been wasted if that. God, don't, Nick, don't get me started on that. Like that, I laid it out on my last video. It's maddening. Some of this stuff. I'm gonna have DJ Bianime on tomorrow at 2. We're gonna talk about that. He's one of those kind of hardo players. Don't do that. It was kind of Captain Obvious, like players aren't going to try to quit. Yeah, no kidding. But we're going to talk about that. We'll see how DJ lays that out. I think he's absolutely wrong. I don't think there's anything to show for these wins. And just go back to the other video. I won't rehash everything. Nick Caserio was probably somewhere punching the air as he watched us win a meaningless game. Who knows? Don't know. Although I think Nick might understand the big picture here. But, Nick's not going to – punching the air like in a bad way. Okay. I'm a little slow. I've been driving a lot. I think that's what you meant. So is it like punch like fist bump, or is it like punch mad? I don't know. There's a lot of punches of the air. So we'll see what happens. Michael says we'll get the Kentucky QB next couple of when we win the next couple. We'll talk about all this. I appreciate all you. Hope you've had a good holidays. I'm getting me some much needed rest, and it's gonna be a fun ride. It's gonna be a fun week. Jacksonville this Sunday. It's gonna be the Tailgater Championships. We judge the tailgates every home game, courtesy of HEB. It's gonna be a championship this week. All the winners taking each other on. If you're out there, come by, say hi. And I'll probably try to take this one in the stand. So I'll see you there. Then we'll be on that. We'll do the post-game show, and we'll have I'll do my interviews in the locker room for the final time this year, which I got to say, I enjoy doing those. Been some really gloomy locker rooms lately. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Appreciate everyone for subscribing. We'll see what goes down the next couple of days, but it'll be an interesting week. Tomorrow, we'll get into some Lovie Smith stuff. We'll get into some other stuff going on. And don't forget, JJ Watt, he's the greatest. No matter what he does, no matter what happens with the Houston Texans, we are all in this together. Have a good one.